So this week, I want to tell you a little story. That's right, we're going to do things a little bit differently this week. It's week number 8 of the GT3s, and this week we are racing at the Red Bull Ring. For the last couple of weeks, I've been leaving it till the end of the week to actually jump into the race. This week, I decided I was going to get my practice in early. And I felt like I have really good pace here. So with this in mind, I was really excited to jump into the racing action on Friday and actually get involved with a few races and battle side by side against other racers. However, one key note to take away from this week is maybe I should really learn when to give up. So I'm going to show you the action from 3 different races this week. I'm just going to cut bits out this time though, not show the full racing, and hopefully quickly you'll understand why I should have really given up earlier rather than later. Okay, so here we go with race number 1. We are started from P11 on the grid. However, we've lost out at the beginning by the fast-moving BMW in front of us. So into turn 1 we go rather cautiously, and we lose another position there into turn 1. Didn't want to do anything dangerous as we enter the corner. But run down here, down towards turn 2. Got a bit of space in front so we can really read the scenario in front of us and not make any silly mistakes. Hopefully we can stay out of trouble, maybe even capitalise if we try and go a little bit later on the brakes and try and gain a bit of ground on braking. And the cars in front now are really bunching up. So I'm quite aware of this in the back of my mind. Don't really want to get too involved here, as I know there could be quite a bit of squabbling going on around us. But down to turn 3, the slow hairpin here. Nice and early on the brakes, trying to get a good rotation. We're trying here to go down the inside. We get a little bit of contact with the car in front as he comes over, but nothing too major as we are all on our way, but not really gained anything. The car's still very bunched up here as we enter turn 4. We see massive smoke in front, and yeah, we're trying to avoid the Ferrari, and well, clearly the Ferrari has lost its brake pedal because it just doesn't decide to stop on the track. I think what was more annoying at this point is I actually got a meatball for this, and I didn't actually think at the time the contact was too severe. As you can see, this is the view on board with the Ferrari, and he was actually trying to avoid and just got spun around, it seems. Then we made like contact on the front, and yeah, I was like, why have I got a meatball for that? This is on board with the car that actually hit Chan, and once again everybody sees the incident and is going really cautiously, but they're just really struggling to avoid. But this car got punted off into the gravel and lost out big time. So any eagle-eyed viewers might have actually noticed where the meatball came from, and this is the rear view here. Watch the Porsche behind as we come up to the incident at the corner, try to slow down, make contact with the front of the Ferrari. The Porsche goes to avoid us, and thanks to a nice bit of net code, we actually take a bit of damage on our right rear there, and unfortunately a 7-minute repair takes us out of the race. And that, as they say, was that, the end of the race. We finished in P16, having started 12th on the grid. We should have finished P15. Chan actually retired in front of me when he was 4 laps down. The only thing that saved him was the fact that his pit box was seemingly after the start-finish line, so I couldn't actually go past him on the final lap. We actually lost 0.21 safety rating on that one, and a massive 63 iRacing. So massive chunks we lost in this one. But I thought, you know what? I feel like I got the pace. Let's jump into another. So here we go with yet another race. This time we are starting from P6 on the grid, and we're feeling a little bit more confident here on the start of lap 1. No pressure from behind, and we're seemingly keeping with the cars in front, not putting them under too much pressure on the run down here to turn 2. But we're just going to let things play out as we go nice and cautiously on the brakes. Just trying to let everybody find a little bit of a rhythm and comfort on this first lap, so not to cause any incidents. But everyone seems to have survived so far as we head down now towards the hairpin of turn 3. Cheeky little look on the inside there under braking, but we were nowhere near going for the move. But got a bit of a run here on the 7 car, but he firmly closes the door here on the run down to turn 4. Potentially a little bit cheeky. I don't think we was alongside though, so no harm done as we get a great run on the exit of 4. but nowhere to go as the car is parked on the curbing on the outside, so we had to abort our run. But the car in front is looking very shaky at this point, so we're going to try and apply a little bit of pressure here to see if we can force him into a mistake into the final couple of corners. Here we go. But it's actually me that's made the mistake, and we hit the brakes too much and we've oversteered, and we just got to hang it here and wait for everybody to file past us. Unfortunately, this is absolutely painful as we find ourselves now running dead last. Yeah, that was really quite unfortunate. We were having such a good run in that second half of the lap there, and I was really starting to think I could put this guy under pressure, but just hit the brakes a little bit too early with a bit too much steering on coldish tyres, and we sent the car round in a massive oversteer moment. And yeah, everyone did well to avoid me there as I just left it parked there while everybody filtered past, and then we rejoined the race in last position. We was really on a mission now, and by the end of lap 3 we have caught up to the back of the pack here as we enter the final section of the lap, and the McLaren in front seemingly getting a slow run, and both myself and the car in front both going past and making up the position. But Anthony in front in the BMW kind of seems a little bit slow at this point, so I'm going to try and apply the pressure a little bit more and try and force him into a mistake, so hopefully I can gain another position in the next coming moments. So lap number 8 here, and we've been desperately applying pressure to Anthony, trying to catch him up, trying to force him into a mistake now for quite a few laps. But as we start lap number 9 here into turn 1, we're still quite a way off the back of him here, and we've actually lost a bit of time. But Anthony's made a bit of a mistake here, and we're going to actually capitalise and manage to breeze past him as the run down to turn 2 here. So finally we make our way past Anthony, who I feel like has been holding us up now for a couple of laps, and we can set our sights on the cars a little bit further down the road and hopefully make up a few more positions. Cutting the action now on lap number 12, and we've gained to the pack in front quite a nice amount here, and they're very bunched up as we go round turn 2. Very bunched up to the fact that I'm anticipating something to happen here, so I'm going to be very eager-eyed and see if we can capitalise on any sort of squabbling or any sort of mistake here, as the two Ferraris are going to do battle here into turn 3. We're going to follow the Mercedes in. We take a nice tight line, almost try and go down the middle, but the two Ferraris have made contact here. They're squabbling hard. The red Ferrari has gone straight over to the right and into the path of the Mercedes, and we actually capitalise and gain 2 positions there up into P13. Well, this is a prime example of why you need to be ready to pounce in racing when others make mistakes. And watch here, the red Ferrari goes initially a little bit too wide, but then almost just doesn't want to give the blue Ferrari any space and ultimately ruins his own race. But it's the Mercedes that you've really got to feel sorry for here, as the blue car here now on board, he's taken a decent line. It's the red car again that makes the initial contact, but just doesn't want to give the blue car any space, and then careers off into the path of the Mercedes. But ultimately we are able to capitalise and take 2 more positions. So moving on to the last lap here, and we have been putting Raul under pressure ever since that incident with the other 2 cars a couple of laps ago. So let's see if we can really capitalise and put him under pressure on this final lap as we get really close to him on the entry into turn 1. We're now running down to turn 3. The slipstream doesn't really seem to have much effect around here, and the Ferrari almost seemingly pulling away from me a little bit as we duck towards the outside. He's gone to the inside. We're going to attempt to do a switch back here. Can't quite get it turned in tight enough, but we've got a good exit on the power here. I feel like we've closed the gap a little bit, but once again there is no slipstream effect, and the Ferrari just seems to be inching slightly ahead of me at this point. Down to turn 3 here, try and dummy a move down the inside, and we try and hold a very tight line. Raul has run very wide there, maybe even touched a bit of gravel. There's contact as he comes back over the track, but we find a way through on this final lap into turn 4, up into P11 with only half a lap now left to hold on. But Raul is still there, very much still right behind me, so we need to keep it nice and tidy through these final corners here. Can we do it? Just 2 corners now left to go. The gap is up to almost half a second. We just need a good entry from these last 2 corners as we turn in here. We'll get a little bit of a slide and have to correct mid-corner. That's going to put Raul right on the back of us here. He's right alongside. We turn in, give him the space, but he's contact. He's straight across the front of me and he's spun out. What a disastrous way to end this race as we cross the line, ultimately take P11. Yeah, it's not really a way I would have liked to have taken that P11, but let's take another look at that from the TV cam here. Down into turn 3, putting him under all sorts of pressures here. And yeah, Raul runs wide, gets a bit of gravel, and he comes back on, and there's contact at the side of us there. But we do make the pass stick at that point and begin to pull ahead at the remainder of that lap, and we're trying to keep it nice and tidy here as we go through these last few corners. Very crucial exit to get on the power nice and early. We do a good job here and we start to extend that gap a little bit, up to half a second we got the gap to. But then we just made this silly mistake and had to correct mid-corner, which put Raul right on the back of us here for the final corner. You can see I just had to correct mid-corner. We go a little bit wider and he takes the opportunity, looks for the inside. We're side by side, but yeah, he just comes across the front of the car. Don't know that there was a lot we could have done about that, but we will take him on board here from Raul's perspective. Again, from turn 3 onwards, dips that wheel onto the gravel, comes back on. He almost tried to swipe back at me. I don't think that was the intention. He was correcting the car, so I wasn't really too bothered about the contact at that point. It was just recovery drive there from him trying to get back on the track and not make himself lose the car. It could have been a lot worse, especially given what we'd seen a couple of laps previous with the other Ferrari and the Mercedes. But he's following me at this point, and the gap almost looks like unrecoverable with 2 corners to go, like I've already said a couple of times now. But we're very slow. You get such a good run, but I think we'd have been alright if we hadn't made that mistake. And we're both turning into the corner, I don't know. It's a bit of a dodger that one, guys. I'll let you decide. Almost like he tries to open up the steering mid-corner. I'm already turning in. I've got nowhere else to go. I could have maybe straightened the steering, but seems like he straightened the steering, caused the incident. Let me know what you guys think. But ultimately, P11, but another disappointing result. And after that performance, the results don't give much better reading than the previous race. We was car number 12, started P5, but only managed a P11 finish. Could have done so much better in that one, but we picked up 12 incident points with various things that went on during the race. So we lose another 0.21 on our safety rating and another 4 on our iRating, giving us another double red. But of course, because I don't like to give up and because I think I can get something out of this track, we decide to go a third time. So here we go for race number 3. This time we're going off from P8 and we're seemingly having a much better run here down to turn 1, not coming under any pressure whatsoever. And once again, keep it nice and tidy into turn 1 as we lose a car right in front of us that might give us a run on this Ferrari down towards turn number 3. But we're up to P5 at the minute, running pretty well. Can we make a move on this Ferrari as he's on our outside here? We go nice and early on the brakes. Think about a switchback. But ultimately, we've left too much room there. The Ferrari gets back through, so we're going to hold station here in P5. Once again, as we run down here to turn number 3. Just trying to keep it nice and safe on this first lap here. We have to force to the outside here. The Ferrari taking a very defensive line. We go for a switchback and we manage to get the job done. Or do we? The Ferrari's still there. No, we have managed to do enough there to pull alongside and out in front of Ferrari. Great move on the switchback. The Ferrari went defensive on the inside, but we've got a slow run through that corner there. We do manage to hold on the position for now. The Ferrari's still on our inside, but having the inside line for the exit here is really going to help us. We managed to consolidate that P4 finish. And now we can set our eyes forward and hopefully make some inroads on the cars behind. Maybe, dare even say, get a podium here. But there's a little bit of contact and it's spun us round.
Come on, dude.
And I've heard a bit of frustration over the team radio. But yeah, a little bit of slightest contact there from the Ferrari has sent us round. And now we're all the way back down in P15. It's an absolutely terrible start to compound what has been a terrible day of racing. Yeah, it's a prime example there of how racing can go from hero to zero. We pull alongside, we manage to get in front, but under braking, he just gives us a little bit of a tap, and just that's enough to send us to unbalance the car. But unfortunately, he didn't get away from it scot-free either. The car behind him also did a very similar thing, as we'll see here from the replay up above. He just gives me that slightest bit of contact, unsettles my car, spins me around, but then the car behind also rear ends him. And like me in the previous race, he just has to sit there and let everybody else go past. Back with the action right after that instant, though. We are on the way down to turn 1. We need to try and recover some positions from this P15 as we go into turn 1. Everybody's bunched up and they're going quite slowly, and we get quite a good run, it seems, initially on the McLaren, but then on exit of the corner he seems to get the power down and is able to pull away from me a little bit more. But I think there's something to get here, so on the run down to turn 2 I'm going to try something daring. I'm going to go late on the brakes, and it pays off as we get both the Porsche and the McLaren, but then we have to be quite cautious on exit not to hit the Ferrari. But we managed to hold on to the 2 positions that we've just taken through that fantastic manoeuvre, being very, very late on the brakes. Yeah, it's not the sort of move that I'm accustomed to, but I thought, you know what, I feel like I'm faster and I've got so much confidence around the lap time here, I'm going to go for it. And they were very much slower than me. The Mustang behind us also tries to follow us behind. He gets past the McLaren but can't manage to make the Porsche stick. But yeah, we managed to get a good run off the exit and hold on to those 2 positions up to P13. It's fair to say we didn't let up the pressure on lap 2, and towards the end of the lap we were right on the back of Martin in the Ferrari here, going down towards the final 2 corners of the lap. We're starting to get a real groove here, and we turn in really well. Martin looks to have a very, very slow exit on the penultimate corner. Can we get a better exit on the final one? We can indeed. We've got a lot of pace on him as we pull to the inside here, but Martin cuts across us as if we're not there, and we have to just back out the throttle a little bit here, so we lose a bit of momentum on the run down to turn 1. Can we get it turned in nicely though with a nice exit? No, we can't. Martin looks to have extended that gap a little bit naughty from him there, but clearly we're able to put him under a little bit of pressure here, and we can potentially be gaining another position. Will we look to go down the inside into turn 2 and make another cheeky lunge? No, we will not. We do kind of fake it a little bit. Martin closes the door, so it actually costs a bit of momentum, but we've got a car off on the inside, so up to P12 now, and we are making good progress through this field. But we're not going to stop there as we head down towards turn 3. We're still putting Martin under a lot of pressure, so we're going to actually make a move down towards the inside here like we did on the lap 2. Can we make it stick? We're trying to hold it on the inside, but Martin just has that little bit of a better run on the exit, and we're not able to capitalise and make up another position. Carrying on the following lap, we're seeing the cars in front of us starting to bunch up here, so I'm thinking, right, this might be the opportunity where we're able to pass Martin. We're looking for a good exit here on turn 2, which we do get. The Ferrari runs a little bit wide on exit, so we're going to stick it to the inside. Can we do another dive bomb down the inside and make up this position from Martin? Well, it's going to be close. Martin's edged a little bit ahead of us, but we're late on the brakes, as late as we dare, pull to the inside, but Martin's tried to outbrake us. He's run wide, and that gives us P10 in this race. Absolutely fantastic racing at this point, and this is why I really didn't want to give up on this one, because I knew I would be able to get something out of it in the end. Yeah, it took me a couple of laps of pressure there, but we finally made it stick against Martin. So great exit here on turn 2. Really set us up for this, and I was determined that after trying it once, we was going to make it stick the second time. Stay to the inside, and I knew I was going to brake really late, but Martin, although he'd already seen me do this once, he decided he was going to brake even later than I did, but unfortunately that meant he was going to be running pretty wide on the exit, and that allows us to breeze past on the inside and take another position. And that's not the only position we make up on that lap, as the cars ahead of us are squabbling really, really hard. And watch the Porsche here of Ziegler in front of us. He gets it a little bit too hot into the final corner, spins it around. We manage to avoid on the inside, and we go up now into P9 comfortably in the top 10. it was hard to tell from the onboard whether or not there was contact or not. But watch it from onboard and Ziga here as he is very, very close to the Corvette in front. Again, still not really sure whether or not there was any contact, but just loses it on the exit of the corner. And as we switch to the chopper cam here, just to try and get an indication, you decide, guys. There might have been a bit of netcode involved here, but yeah, he just uncharacteristically loses it in the middle of the corner. But we take P9. The cars ahead, though, are locked in a very, very tight battle indeed, and the Corvette and Mercedes are going wheel to wheel as they head down to turn 3 here. We're just going to hang back and see how this unfolds. We'll try and keep a nice tight line on the inside. And the Corvette has lost it on the outside. Unfortunately, though, John in the Mustang behind us manages to sneak past on the inside, so it's a position gained and a position lost. But we're getting very racy here, and I'm starting to feel very confident making our way through the field. Few laps later, and we are now stuck behind the Mercedes here of Richard. I feel like he's really holding us up here and is allowing John in the Mustang to get away. So we're looking to get a good exit out of the final corner and maybe put him under a bit of pressure, which we have done indeed. But as I've already said before, we just don't seem to get a slipstream in this car at this track. So we're going to fake towards the inside, but we're actually going to try and make it stick as well. But we've compromised everybody's run here. We've got a very, very slow line through there. And we've now got Mark in the McLaren coming up on our outside here. We are lost a place, and we've lost the back of Richard, having put him under so much pressure. We've also got Martin right behind us, but we're going to try and put one down the inside here. But Martin has come straight in front of us, and he's completely taken himself out, as well as taking the McLaren out. We've also lost now the place back to the Corvette. It's a massive shake-up, and we are back down to P10. So here we have another look at it on the run down to turn number 1. We're trying desperately to get past that Mercedes because he really is holding us up. We tried to send it down the inside, but it actually costs us speed into the corner, and that compromises us and allows the Mercedes to pull alongside and take the position. We've got Martin in the Ferrari right behind us as well, and we've had a real ding-dong battle with him trying to get past him, and I know I'm quicker than him, and I'm just going to try here and hold the inside line. We're at the side of him, but he tries to take the inside line himself and just comes straight ahead of across me at the apex, and yeah, takes out the Mercedes. So yeah, a bit untidy there to say the least, as we now go on board with Martin here to see what he's doing. I am on his right hand side here going towards him inside. He actually makes a bit of contact with the rear of the McLaren and then comes straight across the front of me, spinning out and taking the McLaren with him. But we're up to P10 here, and well, let's see if we can catch back up with Richard and John ahead. So as we come around the final corner to start the penultimate lap here, there is absolute daylight between myself and Richard, and at this point it doesn't look like we're going to be able to take any sort of position here. We're going to have to settle for a P9 finish, but there's been an incident in front and there's a big plume of smoke, and we take P8 as there is a car stranded on the exit of turn 1, and we're now going to dive down the outside here of John. Can we make this stick into turn 2? Well, let's see. We're going to take the outside. We're going to try and switch back. Richard has gone wide into turn 2, so it's a position gained and a position lost, but we're up to P7 here following John, as we couldn't quite get the switch back done, and we lose out on exit a little bit. Down towards turn 3 though, where I have been so mighty in these last few races. Really confident on the brakes here. Can we do anything about it? And it looks like John's gone a little bit wide, but we're not close enough on the inside to be able to take the position. So it's going to be P7 holding for the time being, with just about a lap and a half to go here. We're going to keep things nice and tight, trying to get some really good exits from these two left-handers. We get on power nice and early, and we get a much better run on John here, so we're going to move to the outside. He thinks about it, and then he realises we're there and gives us the space. Nice respectful racing here from myself and John. We're going to try and hang it around the outside, which we don't, but we cut back to the inside. Can we make this stick on the inside of the final corner as we head onto the final lap? Yes, we can, but we get a little bit of a moment on the exit, and we have to correct ourselves, so that's going to cost us momentum, and John gets us back. It's absolutely fantastic racing here as as we enter the final lap down into turn 1. We're going to maybe look to do a cutback again. No, John's on our inside, so it's as we were. John in P6, myself in P7 as we run down now to turn number 2. We are side by side. This could be anybody's position here. We're going to hold it on the outside and attempt to do a switchback once more on John. Quite late on the brakes. Nice turning. Look like we're going to get the switch up. Oh, but there's been contact. Ziga behind has made contact and spun me round. And that a fantastic battle with John has just been absolutely eradicated because of Ziga getting it completely wrong in the braking zone. Oh, what a shame, because that was such a fantastic race with John there. We go back to the end here of the penultimate lap where it really started the side-by-side racing. We go to the outside. John left me space, and I'm very thankful he did. Nice, respectful racing. But we get the cutback there on the inside, and we thought the move was done at this point. We're plenty ahead of him, but we get too greedy on the power and just have to correct ourselves on the mid-exit. And that costs us and compromises our speed and then puts us side by side with John once more on the run down to turn 1. And we actually keep it side by side through the corner, and that's what allowed Ziga to catch back up to the back of us here. So as we're running side by side here on down to turn 2, Ziga is also eyeing up the move here. So like I said, I was thinking I'm going to go for the cutback here, John defends the inside well. Ultimately, we get a good turn and good sort of traction on the exit. But yeah, Ziga just gets involved, unfortunately, and sends us round and causes our race to be over. On board here with Ziga to watch that incident once more. Side by side once more. John dives down the inside. We're going for a nice groove, and he just didn't anticipate he was so slow at the apex. Hits us round and causes us to spin out and ruins the end of our race. I think it's fair to say this is the one that really hurt though. We was car number 5, started 8th, and we ultimately finished in P11. We actually ended up with 17 incident points there because of that final contact. We got 4 for the contact, and then as we was recovering we had to drive off track to turn the car, and it gave us an off track, and that gave us our final 17th incident point, which meant we actually had to serve a drive-through penalty on the final lap. I wasn't sure whether or not to cross the start finish line or drive through the pits. I opted to drive through the pits just for safety. But yeah, massively hurt with a 0.76 safety rating loss and a further 12 loss on our iRating. So there we go, guys. That is the story of this week's racing on the GT3s. Like I said, I just felt like I had pace and I could achieve something special in this one. And that's why I kept going and going and going. And that's why the final result really hurt more than anything else. I understand why I've lost such a big chunk of safety rating, because I got demoted from 3s to 2s. And you always get a big chunk of safety rating when that happens. But it hurts so much because we drove such a good race. We were so competitive. We made some fantastic moves and had some great side-by-side battles in that one. But just for everything to happen, and especially on the last lap, the way it did, it just hurts so, so much. And I'm just absolutely in a place of like utter guttedness, because I'm a guy who normally gets so hung up on stats and ratings, so to lose so much in the space of 3 races, both iRating and safety rating, I just don't know how to recover from this. Over the last 30 days, I've lost nearly 250 iRating, and I was at my highest ever point before all of this carnage started. I've also lost 1.5 off my safety rating. I was ready for a promotion to A license not so long ago, and now I'm on the fringes of being demoted to a C license. On the face of it, all I can do is get my head back down, try and focus, try to recollect myself, and hopefully we can have some better races in the remainder of the season and maintain the status as a B licensed driver. Anyway, guys, I know this one's been a bit different, so I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider giving it a like. And if you want to see more racing content from me, make sure to hit subscribe, because there'll be plenty more coming real soon. If you want to get involved with the action on iRacing, head down to the description where you'll find a link, and hopefully I'll see you on track real soon. But all that's left for me to say is thank you very much for watching, and until next time, see ya.